And here we are. Right. So we're in Latium, basically the heart of ancient Rome, and today we're going to do something a little different than you may have seen before in our previous videos of Latium. We're going to build ourselves 2 cities as quickly as possible and try to provide every resource to both of the different types of classes of citizen that we can, like Tier 1 and Tier 2. So we're going to go ahead and start by building a glorious main road, and even though we're trying to do things quick, we're going to do it as beautifully as possible too. And so this demo is limited to 1 hour for each of the different biomes or worlds or whatever you'd like to call them, and so you got to work quick. And one of the tips I have for anybody playing the demo, if you still have time to do so, is just go ahead and put it on speed 2 once you've set up your basics, and those basics will always be the same in Anno Pax Romana, as you of course need wood for any and everything that you build. It's like probably the most common resource that everything will need in order to either be manufactured, you know, something that can be consumed from the marketplaces, or roads and buildings and other types of things that might need wood too, like for example wooden bridges to complete a road. So we're going to start with a couple of logging camps here. That's your backbone of any city in Pax Romana. Then you're also going to build yourself a warehouse and then a couple of logging camps, and that'll help to create timber, which is what's needed after the logs have been cut down. So really a way to gather a raw resource and then another way to refine it. And this is beautiful. The landscape here, the azure water, you know, this beautiful blue, and the white cliffs are gorgeous. But Albon, because I guess I'm playing it for the first time, is really gorgeous. We've met one of our neighbors here, and we can trade with him, and we can go to war and meet with all of our other neighbors too. And this game, of course, will have multiplayer. It will have ground-based combat, naval combat. There are defenses and wall building of different types of walls too, decorative and also multiple defensive walls, like for example palisades made of wood, or stone walls made of course of stone. Now, we're going to go ahead and build some small starting cities here, or I guess little neighborhoods that will be a part of our city, and it's very satisfying to like click and drag things out, and if we don't have enough materials, they'll turn white, and then we can come back later to build them. So we go kind of into a blueprint or a planning mode, and that's really helpful, especially if you're trying to build out a large industrial area. You don't have to spend a single resource to do that. You can kind of almost bookmark an area to just be like, okay, this is where I'm going to do all of my advanced woodworking, so I can build all the stuff that requires wood over here, and then you can build a beautiful wall or a fence around it to make it look gorgeous. Okay, I'm also going to toy around with the 45-degree angle road building now. Anno has that, and that's gorgeous. It actually does a pretty good job of making it not actually look like 45 degrees. There's these beautiful curves. So let's take a little stroll around the neighborhood as we wait for our ship to arrive at the new island. So we've already sent that away to go and try to settle that, but I just wanted to show you with Control, Shift, and R, you can enter this first-person mode and walk around your city at any time. You have to walk around, I guess it'll magnetize to a road of the cities that you control, but it's a beautiful little tour to be able to see buildings, you know, your residential homes and factories, and of course your ship dock up close, you know, as ships coming in and out of the harbor. It's really a sight to behold, especially when you've got an invasion fleet coming in. That's another pretty cool sight as well. Okay, this island we're choosing specifically because it has a few of the resources that we need. You'll see me build there at the second city in just a moment. It has lavender, which we need for soap. It has resin, which we need for pottery, and then it also has one other thing that slips my mind. I'll remember it in a moment. Oh yeah, olives. Yeah, there it is. It took me all of 2 seconds to remember that. Come on, guys. These are good jokes. Please stop. I'm desperate. Okay, so let's move on to the next thing then, which is basically expanding the city. So we're starting to supply them with basic sardines and basic oats, which are turned into porridge. So with sardines and porridge, that's the basics of your Tier 1 people taken care of. And then we're going to move on to providing them with clothing. So we'll need to grow hemp, and we'll need to grow, well, actually, we'll need sheeps, and they'll be able to be basically turned into like fleece and make hats. So we'll have tunics and hats made out of that, and people will be very happy. The Tier 1, that's pretty much all they need, in addition to a tavern and a marketplace, and we'll get to that shortly. So this is the second city. This is not a different playthrough. This is still the same world, and so we've settled a second island. By the way, we're going to be seeing a lot of financial hardship in this. First of all, I've noticed that the Emperor pretty much gives you like a $20,000, let's just call it a grant, like free money every time that you go bankrupt. So money doesn't really seem to be a problem in this 1 hour demo, and also I wouldn't really worry about it, because by the time you've balanced your budget, if you kind of focus on that, it's not enough time to really see everything. And what I want to do here is build, and I would recommend that for anybody, especially at the start. Like if you're new, don't worry too much about the cache. You can worry about that later. Just build things and figure out how they work, and then try to make them look pretty, and then try to balance the budget later, because then you'll be able to figure out kind of what you want to build, how you want it to look, what you are interested in doing, like financial or military, and then you can try to balance the budget over time. I've always find that that's the best way for me to play, and it might actually work for you too. Okay, so there's the hemp farm going in. Of course, that's for our tunics, and then we'll get on the sheep farms too. Luckily for us, the sheeps are kind of auto-fed. They just have their pastures, and that's pretty much the case for most animals in this game that I've encountered so far. Later on, we can get like oxes, which are, well, basically like milk cows. We'll be able to milk them in the Albon region, and then we can turn that into cheese, but you don't have to do anything special to feed them. It's not like we need to provide them with grain or wheat on our side. All of the wheat can go towards making bread, which we'll get to in a little bit, as well as garum. And I think that's the tier 2 requirement. They want some fancy stuff like that. By the time we get to tier 3, which you won't see in this playthrough though, of course, there's going to be people who want wine and cheese, so you'll have to import cheese from Albon, and then also the people here will require olive oil. So when we, again, get to the end game, we will be providing soap, sandals, we'll be providing olive oil, and also, well, pottery, which then goes into those olives too. So building very quickly here in this landscape. I'm actually quite surprised in how good I was able to make things look, considering, you know, that I'm trying to rush and build as many things as quickly as possible. And this is a good exercise for if you're trying to play competitive multiplayer. There's the Emperor there giving us a loan, so don't worry about it too much. But yeah, a great role-playing thing for a multiplayer, or really like an exercise for multiplayer, is to try to do these things as quickly as possible, because of course when you're playing multiplayer, it'll be a mad dash for all these different islands with different fertility. But one thing I like about this game that I don't think I've seen in the previous Anno game is the ability to turn these mountain slots or nodes into any resource that you like, along with the rivers too. So there's a few places on the rivers and a few places in the mountains where you can build things like a clay pit or an iron mine, and you could choose to build whatever you want so long as it has that fertility. So if you want to turn one island into a massive iron ore mine, you don't have to worry about you know, just one or two slots providing iron. They can all provide iron based on the number of slots if you want them to. So probably not going to get into mining too much until we get to Albon, which we'll be seeing in a little bit, but for now, we're going to be working more on farming in Latium, so that's going to be a kind of a cool thing to be able to ship back and forth. I'll be manually loading up our ship, but this game does have trade routes. You can set up trade routes between multiple islands and trade partners, and even, you know, do so in kind of a diplomatic mode in multiplayer. Like you can do that with friends, where you can agree to trade things back and forth, or you can just trade up, load your boat up with stuff and sell it to some of the merchants, or buy from them, including special characters. I guess that's the best way to explain. They are people who can go on your boats and provide more damage or a higher speed, or maybe you can put them into your villa. I didn't get a chance to build the villa yet either, but from what I understand, the governor's villa might be the most important building that you'll build, because the enemy may have to take that over in order to conquer your city, and you can fortify that. But this game does have, as I mentioned, palisades and wall building, and the ability to build barracks and weapons, so they'll also have to conquer your ground armies. And so this is a little bit like an RTS, where you have to build a base and build a barracks, and I think there's a few other buildings to build in addition to that. But here's some examples of customization of your buildings too, so you could actually customize the like the art style of a building. There's many different like builds of a building, and then you can rotate it too. So if you're a beauty builder and you don't really care about like being, you know, the top dog, highest output, you know, maximum efficiency, which I've kind of gotten away from. I want to be a little bit more, I want to do my best, but I want things to look good, and so that really certainly helps you to be able to do that. Jumping ahead a little bit now, we've expanded upon the western side of the city. Yeah, now there's a possibility of a great fire, so we're going to start working on what I like really here, and something that I had to get used to in the first few playthroughs, was that it is much more like a modern city builder, where you need to provide, you know, healthcare, fire departments. In the previous Anno, you kind of would just build one or two buildings and that was it, but this is very much more based on coverage than before, and there's some bonuses for how you place certain buildings within range of other buildings. So if you build a bakery in the middle of your town, people are going to love that. Like fresh bread, not having to walk so far to go get a fresh loaf of bread, people will love that. But also there's a risk of fire, because yeah, that's open flame with all those ovens, and you know, there's the danger of fire and hot coals and things like that. So there's always a risk and a trade-off, but you know, you can mitigate that by building those you know, they have basically a police department, fire department, and a medical tent, and that'll help your people out. And research is something that can help you to unlock additional smaller buildings for that too. So some of these buildings, as I'm placing them down, look rather large, but there is a lot of research in this game too, and we'll build a school, and you might see it here in just a little bit, which will give us knowledge points, and then we can spend that, or rather they'll generate over time and unlock things like you know, a larger range for the marketplace, and then eventually like Roman roads, paved roads, and a lot of other great stuff that will greatly improve our economy. And if you want to go war, which you can, there's, I believe it's economic, civil, and military, but the economic stuff is absolutely going to benefit you militarily, because yeah, money is going to be needed for that military. So you got to build a hell of a lot of stuff in order to get enough for your military, right? Okay, so here we're very quickly, and I love this, by the way. I'm so proud of this. I was able to put down our lavender farm, an olive orchard, and also a couple of resin gatherers very quickly. And some of these buildings require, I think, the tier 2 workers, but most require the tier 1. But we already unlocked it on another island, so we can build each island once it's unlocked, kind of a universal thing. So if you unlock it on one island, it's unlocked everywhere else, so you don't have to worry about grinding every population at every island. Some islands can just be specific to that thing. All right, we're all done. So we've got our wonderful lavender farm, gorgeous olive oil farm or orchard, and then we've got our resin gatherers there too. So with this boat, we're going to wait until some things have been gathered, and then we're going to transport things back manually. All right, taking a little tour of the town, back to first person. We got that gorgeous little square there by the marketplace. We've got pillars all around. You can fully customize all these little fields, and there is something in the game called Prestige, which I haven't fully been able to deploy yet and learn about, but eventually we'll get there. I think we had our little marketplace on our left, and there was also a, I think our school was back there too. And I think that's the Hall of Fame or something like that. No, actually, that's something you got to build next to your rows. But it looks very pretty. And walking around in first person is nice to see every once in a while. So you can really check the scale of how much you've improved the city. Sometimes I think it looks a little better from further away like that. But when you're up close, you can see that everything is living and breathing. People are repairing their windows in the residential buildings. And people are actually transporting carts around, and barrels, and dogs are walking around. It's very well done. You can tell that the world is very much alive, and I think there is a good photo mode in this game too. Like, you can press F1 to do this and then just take screenshots. You can also adjust the day-night cycle. There's a 24-hour day-night cycle. You can switch between like noon, dusk, dawn, and midnight, and then also turn on a day-night cycle where it'll just kind of cycle through for you. But the sights and sounds of Anno Pax Romana are gorgeous, I gotta say. Very similar to many ways in Anno 1800 that I like, where this is definitely an Anno game, so a lot of the things I think should be unchanged because they're good. But as I'm playing this, I'm not... the UI and the way things function is certainly like the previous game, which is great. But this is Roman, right? This is more earlier in history. I think maybe possibly the earliest they've gone, and it's great. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff to make by hand, and a lot of things to learn about too, and how they were made and why they were important. Some things are no-brainers, like olive oil and making weapons for the Romans, and wine. You know, those are things where it's like, okay, yeah, the Romans definitely love that stuff. But then you think to yourself, why did they need all these different fish? Oh, they had bread. How did they make bread? And in this case, you'll need a river slot for like a water wheel, and there's not a windmill in the game, that kind of thing. So every game and every little iteration is always different, so it's cool to see. And I'm very excited to see where this game will go in the future, too. If we get to go to Albion as the Romans, imagine all these other settlements we could go to, or, well, periods of time. You know, it's 11-7, but, you know, they could kind of bend it a little bit to just bring in more interesting stuff that the fans want, and I'm totally fine with that. It's a game, so you can, you know, you can bend the rules. You pick a year, but it doesn't have to be exactly that year, you know what I mean? So let me know down below in the comments section of where you'd like to see 11-7 go. Like, where should Pax Romana end up next? What other civilizations do you want to, you know, cooperate with or collaborate with? What do you want to, lands you want to see? Maybe lands that were never really settled by humans at this time, and the Romans were the first ones there to really colonize and civilize. Or who do you want to go to war with, you know? Be kind of interesting to actually be able to do that. But I also think it has to be a time in history where we can work with them, and that's something that we'll see in Albion too, where you can either Romanize the Celtics, or you can just be Celtic. Like, you can just, you know, be mostly Celtic and still ship things back to Rome and just kind of work with them. Alright, so we're almost done with this city, getting towards the end of building all the stuff that we want to build. I thought it'd be a good idea to build a little ship dock there, so I've put down a shipbuilding building, also a rope maker, and a sail maker too, and those ones will be able to make a ship for us. But also I wanted to put down a barracks and show you guys the military stuff, so but it'll take an incredible amount of population to be able to build that ship, so we're gonna have to worry about that. Alright, so the road to the barracks is done. I'm going to try to throw a palisade around that and leave some extra room for other buildings that we could build. We could build multiple barracks. We could also put our weaponsmith in here and use it as a general defensive position too. So blueprinting some large areas around this barracks. I've also been surprised by how much wood it takes to build the palisades. So even though I was maxing out at 75 wood, we're going to need a lot more to do that. So building defenses will be... You know, it's going to take a valuable space for you to build other things, but also take a lot of materials to do that. But safety and security above all when it comes to Rome. He's giving us another 20,000. Look at that. And boom, put that tower down, buddy. There you go. Cool. All right, so yeah, we're going to put towers in the 4 corners and pretty much call it good on the barracks. We're not going to be attacked here, but there is in Albion a force that will attack us, so we need to be on the lookout for that. And that is looking real nice there. So this is Rome at nighttime. There's our barracks. You know, still waiting on some materials to come in so we can finish the wall around that, but we'll kind of pop down things as soon as we can. Just blop, blop, blop. There you go. It's that easy. A great tip, too, by the way, is to use the upgrade tool to finish blueprints. So to build something, it's not like you're actually giving the order to build. You're basically upgrading it from not existing and planning to be existing one day to existing. So keep in mind that the upgrade tool, you can press U on your keyboard or right-click, and then the arrow pointing up should be able to allow you to do that. You can click and drag real quick to be able to select multiple buildings. Great for homes, or you could do it with walls too, and like do one little section at a time, because they are a little spendy, but you know, it is what it is. So we're going to add some more other buildings here, expand upon the city, add some decor, try to keep that prestige up, worry about the fire safety, and again, we need to worry about happiness. In addition to fire safety and also health. And the happiness, I feel like, is the easiest one to do. I've had the least amount of trouble with that, but there is always the threat of civil unrest too that could change. I've also noticed that when I have positive numbers for like fire safety and medical, there could still be a big fire even though you're prepared for it. Fire can happen at any time. It's just really what's your readiness for it. So if you have a large number, you know, like let's say it says 98 for fire protection, that's pretty good. You're probably likely to see less fires, but they could still happen and still destroy. There's still a threat. Nice. City upgrading to tier 3. There's also some ruins on the map, but I wanted to leave them there. The game does kind of hint at, hey, this used to be like an area that was settled and there was a disaster and you're going back in to rebuild. I don't know if it was an earthquake. I don't know if it was a volcano, maybe a little bit of both, but I would like to see some natural disasters in this game too. Maybe as a good thing. I don't know. I don't know how you turn that into a good thing, but it'd be interesting to see. I don't know what would happen with that. I don't want it to destroy my city. That doesn't seem fun, but it is what it is. We'll see. Okay, so we're meeting all the neighbors. They're chatting with us. They want to do business. They want to trade. They also want to borrow money, but for now we're just going to kind of pretend they don't exist, and we're just going to build our city as quickly as possible. So without being able to go to tier 3, this is just limited to tier 2. We're kind of also limited on what we can do, but our ship now is going to leave, and we're going to go get the remaining materials that we need, or rather, may have just come back with them. We're jumping forward a little bit of time, but again, we brought over lavender, resin, and then also olive oil. And that ship, the main ship, could only haul 2 things at a time. So the resin was gathered relatively quickly, so I brought that over, and then lavender and olive oil next, and that should be able to give everybody as much stuff as they need. And that really gets the money up too. But money, if you're trying to earn money in this game, it's always about keeping the population up, you know, increasing the population, and then also everybody's supply. So you want to make sure you got a good supply of the sandals and tunics, and, you know, that kind of makes them happy too. And I don't know, it solves a lot of problems to be able to grow your population and grow your supply, and to keep doing that over and over. Look at how pretty this game is. Love the look of the water. Love the day-night cycle. The landscape in general is just beautiful, like, you know, areas around Italy or, you know, old Rome. gorgeous, and the sounds are good too, and the music is great. I would like to hear more songs because it's good music, but that is usually my complaint with every type of game that we play. All right, that is the end of the demo for Latium, and now on to Albion. All right, so we're getting started really quickly, and this is going to go by very fast. I'm quite efficient in the Albion region because the map is a little smaller, but that's not a bad thing. It's kind of like you don't have to do as much to make a powerful city here because you only need a few people to do very few specific things. In Rome, in our main city, that I think is going to be your capital city. You want that to be strong. But here in Albion, you want to make sure that you've got just pretty much everybody to do every job. And they have some pretty important things here, so just kind of keep an eye on everything. So what are we doing? Well, we're starting with wood, right? I taught you well. We're going to go ahead and put down some logging camps looking for fertility. Not fertility, but like coverage at 100%. So we're going to more than likely plop down 4 of those, and then 2 sawmills, and then we'll kind of go from there and continue to generate wood. The next thing then will be to try to supply our people here with different food than in Rome. In Rome, they wanted sardines and they wanted porridge. Here they want eels. You have to build an eel grabber in the marshland, which can be drained actually. And as you choose between either going as, I think it's called Roman Celtic or Celtic, one of the two. Yeah. Anyway, you could choose to build on the marshes, and I think that's the best. I like that. To drain the marsh is a little taller of an order, but might really have a much bigger payoff because you get huge islands then. You can't really build on that marsh unless you're building with specific Celtic buildings. But if you choose to go more Roman, you could clear all that out and then maybe use that to build a huge city or farms. All right, we're going to send the boat around, and we're going to see this boat get attacked a little bit. We're going to also go try to find an island that has tin. We have silver on this island and a few other things, but we will need tin to make some late game tier 2 items. Look at how beautiful this is. That is gorgeous. Sometimes, and I said this about every Anno game, it is difficult to make the decision to actually build on islands in this game because they're so pretty. But then your cities could be pretty too, and you could decorate them, and you want your city to grow more beautiful, as they say in Anno 1800, so keep that in mind. So yeah, we're going to gather and generate a bunch of wood now, then turning that into timber. That's the same resource as Latium, so we can go ahead and get that from Rome if we needed to, but we have no connection to them at the moment. But we're now gathering cockerels, I believe. So those are like some sort of a shellfish or something like that, and then eels too. So those are 2 things that they want for beginners, foods. And then in a little bit, we're also going to make clothing out of hemp and sheep, felt and stuff like that. Or no, reeds. But yes, felt later on. All right, this is a stronghold of one of the, I don't know, let's just call them the pirates, or somebody who doesn't really like you in this area. So they will attack your ships. I was out exploring, and they started to open fire, and we're getting the heck out of here. So they have this beautiful, massive, gorgeous fortress, and you more than likely might be able to destroy that, but they probably will keep on coming back. So they don't really like you there, no matter if you try to be Roman or Celtic or try to work with them. They don't want you here. They see you as an outsider, and they want to be left alone, and they will probably continue to attack your trade lines going back to Latium if you're not careful. So yeah, just wanted to show that off. So we're going to keep expanding the city. It's not going to get too much bigger, but we are going to definitely upgrade to tier 2 and try to keep things nice and cozy in there. Keep in mind there's like little walls that you could use to decorate and make things look even better. I've also tried to kind of make a earthy area and build like some wood carvings and some pavilions and pylons, or whatever you call them. So yeah, trying to make things look nice. Okay, so I know that reeds are going to be the next important resource that we need in this game, so we're going to pop down a reed farm as soon as we can, and then that's going to be used for making shoes, and other things later on. We'll also need mud from this area, and the mud will act a little bit like clay, and so we'll be able to make bricks, tiles from that. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and put down 2 reed farms. We're meeting the neighbors again. The same people that we're meeting here, the same people in Latium, because they're getting orders, more than likely, to also settle in the same regions that we are. So just keep in mind that they're going to be the same people as you see in Rome. But we do have the 2 classes here, the waiters and also the smiths, or some sort of a merchant for the Romans if you go down that path. But we'll cross that bridge in just a little bit. It's almost time for us to decide once we've got all the basic materials supplied.
You're welcome to drop in at the hill fort of the capital. I'm Max, the chief.
Max, new trader. Excellent. All right, we'll chat with him. There's his base of operations, and there's also like a little horse over on the side too, if you notice it, made out of chalk. But yeah, kind of cool to see them praying to their gods and things.
My name is Lysia.
And there are Celtic gods here as well. I think there's kind of a hybrid of a few of them, and you can pray to them as well, or praise them and you'll get some bonuses. So praying to the gods does give you some things like extra production of certain materials, and other things of the like. So you have to kind of review them all, and you know, all this stuff's kind of subject to change before it releases on, again, remember, November 13th on this one. So if you've watched this far, down below in the comment section, I want to see I'm in down below in the comment section if you're excited for the new Anno, if you want to play some multiplayer with me. Some people have contacted me and they want to do some tournaments too in November, and probably, you know, into December, January, February. A lot of people are going to be playing this game a long time, and it's nice to see, you know, a new game of Rome. Oftentimes we get games that are a little bit more focused on the military aspect of Rome, but this is kind of more of a time of peace. Yet again, there's still the ability to build military units and, you know, do invasions and stuff like that. But the goal is really expansion for Rome, and to try to get as many you know, materials and as many goods back to Rome as possible, and make those main cities strong. All right, so we're just doing some self audits there, taking a look at materials and see if they're coming in, making sure that we're gathering everything we need to. And we're going to take a tour of the town in just a moment, and it's going to be beautiful. We're going to go see a play. One of the buildings here, I think that the tavern, it's called something other than the tavern. I think it's the Bard's Hearth or something. Anyway, it's like an area of storytelling and community and drinking and, you know, togetherness, as well as, I guess you could say the same thing about the market, but that's more about, you know, buying food in order to, you know, have something at the house to eat. So we'll go see that in a minute. But at the bottom there, that's where we're going to build all of our mud digging buildings. So that'll be kind of fun. And look at all those people walking around. They can all walk over that. By the way, on the marshlands, when you need to build over that, it needs wood. So that's, again, why wood is incredibly important. You're building it like a bridge the whole time.
Have sighted new land.
Ooh. All right. Let's take a little tour around the town. You can kind of pet the kitties and pet the chickens in a way. Like, you can walk up to them and click on them and they'll stop. So anything that's kind of highlighted in white you can interact with and say hello to. But I love the look of all these buildings. Again, just like with Rome, there's a lot of color here, a lot of natural materials. These seem a little more primitive, made of thatch, but still very gorgeous. Oh, they're fighting a dragon. Look at that. All right. Now you can also in this game go to the amphitheater. You can build an amphitheater in Latium, and that's pretty sweet to see. There's a carved wooden statue there in that muddy area, and we're going to go take a look around the marketplace too, and you can see people trading and bartering and trying to buy stuff and, you know, chatting about the day. So a lot of life in this game for sure, and that's nothing nothing new, but it is good. It's good par for the course. Like, it's nice to see that that quality being maintained. It is returning. It is something that should be there, and it is, and that's, again, nice to see. All right, going back to the marsh, it's time to improve upon a few things there, or to keep an eye on those things to make sure they're coming in. Reed, which go into making shoes, and then also, of course,
to a sandal. Local, see.
Tunics. All right, so let's upgrade some homes, and now it is time to decide: are we going Roman or are we going Celtic? And in this case, we're going to go down the Smiths, and we're going to be Celtic. That'll give us the cheese, and then we get other things like beer and whatnot. So that'll be good. Time to forge ahead, indeed.
I think you know
Okay.
that bothers me. What you just
So now it's time to start making cheese and beer. Luckily, there is like fertility or whatnot to make what we need here for those. It's not locked to this island, so we're going to go ahead and put down a farm for that, and then we're going to put down a dairy maker, well, cheese maker, that will take all of our dairy products and turn that into that. But we need mud.
Our scouts have sighted new land.
This music's so catchy. Oh, new land. Excellent. All right, so we're putting down the, what is it called? The building yard, and that will make wattle and daub for us. So they're taking wood, and they're taking mud, and essentially making like a button board out of it. So kind of curious to see what future building techniques will be in there. They're like prefab walls, so that'll be needed for more of our advanced structures. Then, you know, a couple upgrades here and there as one is to do. This is all rushed, too, by the way. And I know a lot of people want to rush in and see, you know, the gameplay. But everything is the gameplay in this game. There's no wrong way to play. There's no really slow. You can go on the slowest speed and decorate everything and absolutely make sure that every pixel on the screen has something that you have put down. And that's totally fine. Otherwise, you can, of course, copy and paste a city next to another city and, like, double the size of it in an instant and not really care too much about it. You're just all about function and about profits and about maximizing potential. You can do that too, a spreadsheeter. That's totally fine. That's kind of what we're going to do here is, you know, basically copy several neighborhoods and then plop them down next to each other and expand very quickly. But if you wanted to do all that stuff by hand and leave extra room and put down fences and decoration, there is prestige in this game now, and that will more than likely be a little bit more of an important and determining factor later in the game. So it'll more than likely be, I think, I don't know what tier, but I'm just saying, like, leave room, you know, for more stuff. So nothing wrong with not filling every little nook and cranny of the game. Alright, so now we're going to expand again by building more of these, well, the completion of the cheese farm. So we have to expand that and make sure it reaches its full potential. A couple of paddocks there for the ox that are going to go in there. And then we're just searching where to put down all of the necessary fire protection, maybe a brewery, trying to get a little bit more in the bonuses here for things like the cheese maker, which will get us some bonuses for putting that right in the middle. But again, some of these buildings hurt health, some of these buildings hurt whatever else, like fire prevention. There's always a drawback to certain things, I guess is what I'm trying to say, but mostly good. Mostly good. You can always counteract the bad. Then we're going to make a pathway up here into the mountains. This pathway will provide us with, hopefully, tin. It won't be there. I won't notice that until later, but it does provide us with, I think we're just going to get silver. No, copper. And then we'll start mining that stuff. Okay, so then we're putting down hemp. And then there's going to be another thing that I'd not seen before called weld. I'm not exactly sure what it is. It seems to be a flower for dye. But what I love about these types of games is, you know, nobody knows everything. But what's great is that when video games get you excited to learn things, be like, oh, I want to learn now about, you know, the ancient Celtic ways. Like, you know, why are things this way? What did they use to make their clothes? Why did they do that? You know, how did they heat their homes? What did they do in the winter, in the summer? What are their traditions? And that just gives you very, very cool knowledge to maybe possibly explain to somebody else too when they play this game. It's like, wow, you know, why the wattle and dot? Well, those were the only materials available to them. They didn't have, you know, clay or whatever, you know, whatever the case may be. So it's always a great way to tell your own story. That's something I continuously keep hearing in games today is tell your own story. It's like, I don't know if I want to tell my own story. I just want to, like, learn the story of the Celts and their history and try to build things through them. Or same with the Romans. I want to be able to build the best that I can with the things that they had at the time. And building empires and having cooperation with different civilizations is quite fascinating. And I think we all like that a lot when we can play a game and be multiple nations and get multiple eras and times of technology. And in a way, even though this is supposed to be year, you know, 117, or as it's properly said, 11-7, because it rolls off the tongue. Yeah, so it doesn't really matter that the years don't really move forward. I feel like when I'm unlocking new stuff and new tiers, that's kind of time moving forward, and that is satisfying. And the objective of the game in the end is to, well, one, have a good time. It's a game, right? Like, we should all be playing games to have a good time and get away from the real world. And secondly, really it's just to try to, like, take over the whole map and or accomplish goals that you want to do. Different types of victories. You know, you can build some big stuff to claim almost like a culture victory. You can have a military victory, but we'll see more of that a little bit later. We can only speculate on that now, but I can only imagine that there's going to be, you know, victories for those who want to be more peaceful and diplomatic and economic and also military, because there are the three different types of research, right? The civic, the economic, and the military. And absolutely, the military player could take over an economic player, but it could also be the other way around. Perhaps the economic player could outlast the invasions of the military player, and the military player will go bankrupt because they can't keep it up forever. All right, trying to plop down everything that we can now to try to maximize wood production, and we're going to get into more clay production, or, well, mud to make what we'll call just clay, like bricks for now. But regardless, it's still going to be useful to us. And then we're going to keep making more mud and just kind of monitoring everything. So not too much more to worry about other than, you know, like expanding the city little by little. We got a ways to go, though, until we're done and complete with the other island. Like, we want to keep building up the other island and seeing what we can do there. So, yeah, plopping down some more buildings to maximize. And this is one of my new favorites, the recreational area, which has a hill with a tree on it. And it just looks like the perfect, like, I don't know, like if you build model trains and you see layouts all the time where people decorate with, you know, like small people and cars and try to create scenes, this is really cool. Like, this is probably one of the coolest areas I've seen, and I like the hill with the tree. I think that's why. But they got those terrorizing little horns there, which are supposed to scare the hell out of the enemy. And then I'm surprised we don't see a dancing bear. Were there not bears in Ireland? Maybe I should move to Ireland or the British Isles or the Celtic lands or wherever, somewhere around there, you know, wherever it's bear free, wherever they weren't, you know. I'll have to look at a map. I don't know. But it's good times. And that music too. Again, I'm thinking that I'm going to spend a lot more time building in Rome because the Romans just built more stuff. But I also feel like I'm going to want to spend more time in Albion because I want to hear that Celtic music. And of course, they got music themed for battle for the Celtics, the Celtic areas, Albion, and then they've got music for Rome. So there's all these different types of themes and songs for whatever may be happening. So just keep that in mind. Again, remember, money's not going to be much of an issue here either. So we might not go as bankrupt as we had previously because our city won't be as big. But it'll probably happen and we wouldn't worry about that too much. So now it's time to put down things like the sheep pens. We're going to put down the weld. We're going to put down mines and then smelting areas for tin and copper and I can't remember what else. There might be another forge to make bronze that might combine those two. I don't know if it's done at the building that combines those two or uses bronze, but I think we might have to make bronze too. I'm not sure. Can't remember. So there goes the weld. To me, that stuff kind of reminds me of dandelion. I don't know. Looks pretty cool though. Oh yeah, and look at all the nice little details to the flowers. It's pretty. Okay, so we're going to put down also a thing to make clan shields, to make trousers, drinking horns, and then there's one other thing too that needs to be made, and that should be all the needs. There's a copper mine there. Yeah, that looks cool. Yeah, very cool looking copper mine for sure. And then now we're just going to maximize all of our production to make sure things are going as good as they can without expanding upon the city too much. We're kind of limited by the amount of room we have to grow our residential area. There's always more potential for aggressive expansion, but I do like to make areas where there's groves of trees. I don't want everything to be completely deleted. I do want to try to respect nature and respect those contours as much as I can, you know? You know what I'm saying? So still placing down buildings here and there. And still expanding. Still optimizing some of the fire protection. And constant rain. From what I understand, Albion will have a lot more rain than Latium, and that does make sense. This is kind of what happens in this region, and that explains the marshes a lot too. There's a lot more fog here, but the rain and the fog don't affect the gameplay at all. So if it's a dark and stormy rainy night, a ship can still have the same accuracy if it were kind of a more clear day at noon. So luckily for those of you planning big attacks, you don't have to like cancel it continuously because it's raining, which does seem like something that would happen in this area for sure, over and over again. All right, so trying to fill in whatever we can, wherever we can. This is very what we would do in Anno 1800 as well, but I feel like in Pax Romana we have a lot more options to, especially with those 45-degree angles, build You know, you can build buildings on those 45-degree angles. You can build roads at 45-degree angles, and even your fields can go on 45-degree angles around buildings that are at 45 degrees, or a river or a road or the shoreline. So it's much more versatile than before to be able to fill those spaces, and you're gaining a ton of land. Like, because now you can build at 45 degrees, I mean, maps just feel bigger, and there's much more you can do and put in there. So good steps forward for Anno for sure. And now jumping ahead again to where we're now going to put down, yep, this big old building. Not exactly sure what this does yet, and I thought it was maybe only a Roman building. I thought this could only be built in Rome, but it seems to be a temple of some sort. And of course, we can also pick our god that we're going to praise at any time. There's a certain time, but it doesn't have to be after a temple is built, so there's a little leniency when you can start worshiping.
I'll do.
All right, almost time to take a little tour around the city again, so we'll get prepped for that. We're going to go take a stroll at a certain point and go around and see what's going on downtown. The fog is pretty. I like it. This is a good vibe. I really like it. Now, I also didn't get a chance to build a ship in Latium or Albion this time around. I think the 1 hour is just not enough time for any player to really initiate an automated trade system, but it is wise to almost instantaneously, when you start in this game, go colonize another island quickly and then try to start building there. And when you do colonize another island, you can bring wood with you, and you can bring, you know, when you can, bring clay with you and such, and help that other city to speed build, so you don't have to wait. If your first city has a ton of wood sitting there, and the second city has just been built, you can go ahead and speed run them, you know, building a little bit by taking the overflowing wood from your main city to the secondary city. That's usually how it goes for me. I find it to be kind of nice to be able to jumpstart the second city and get them, you know, if your main city feels like it's 30% complete, this will help that other city jump from maybe like 5% to 15. So supply is everything, you know, building materials is everything. Gonna just go ahead and build some things here by hand. You know, some manual placement of neighborhoods and roads. Another great thing too, I don't know if I mentioned this, but I think I have in other videos. If you click on the road and then click on a building in a neighborhood, the game will automatically try to put a rectangular road around it. So that's very helpful for those of you trying to build quick neighborhoods. And then, of course, you can copy and paste that. So if you're really trying to speed run, I mean, I got to be able to see speedrunners play this, because they're going to have some big ideas. Beautiful shots of the boat, too, going by. I'm not sure if there's a way to get the camera to track the ship, but I definitely want to be able to do that. Again, remember, we're playing on now at like ×2 and ×3 speed in order to get the building, the production done a little faster. But very cool to see the trade boat arrive at the other island in Albion. Doing a little bit of research here, just picking some things like extending the market range and working on making the warehouse a little better. And then here are some of the gods too. And some of these are Celtic gods, or kind of a crossover of both of them. But we're going to go with, is it Ceres here? And that'll help with, I think, the farming of wheat. Alright, so we're going to try to go to the other island, bring a bunch of wood and clay tiles, so then we can build some mines very quickly. Then we're going to have the boat sit there, wait till a ton of tin is ready, and then bring that tin back here so it can be smelted into tin bars and or bronze, which is a combination of copper and tin, and then make some items out of that, although I forget exactly what requires both. I believe the horns require tin, the shields also require tin, and I think there's something called there's some sort of a twisted band that they want. I think there's trousers for the men, and I think that might be something for the ladies for their hair, or a bracelet. It's something for them to buy, something that they need, either culturally or there's something else to it. But anyway, there goes the boat. Now, again, remember, these ships can be upgraded too by having a different crew member on board, a specialist that you can plop in there, and it should give them all sorts of different bonuses. I haven't yet had a chance to look at all the specialists and see all their upgrades, but it could be something like a higher rate of fire, more damage, faster repair speed, maybe they can carry a few more goods, or load and offload faster if you have a trade route set up for them. All sorts of little benefits that could come to this game, and it's a damn good one. A lot of content creators were added to the previous Anno game as well. Hopefully they add me to this, during the sponsored video. I hope that Ubisoft, makers of Anno 11.7 Pax Romana, coming out on November 13th, 2025, hopefully they add me to that. I really hope that they add me as one of the characters, and I hope they add me. At me. Message me, please. Let's talk. Nah, they won't hear that. Okay, so anyway, we're at the trader now. This is, what was his name? Merkel or whatever his name. I forgot his name. Merrick? Something like that. But anyway, you can buy and sell stuff from him, and he didn't have anything that I was interested in purchasing. I was going to drop off some timber and clay tiles to him to see if I could buy tin, but he didn't have it. So anyway, those things are going to come over, and then we're gonna drop those off. And I think the boat has just returned with those items. So a drop off of items with the ship, build a couple of mines, and then wait for the tin to come in, and then bring it on back and supply everybody with everything they need. Without the ability to go to tier 3, it's basically a ceiling where we just, dump off a bunch of stuff and make some money, and then just kind of see the city function. So not too bad though. Look at all these scenes in the street too. I can't express enough how cool that is. I hope there's more added, and more games should do this too, where people aren't just always necessarily traveling from A to B, but that there's kind of like quote-unquote B-roll actors in the background who are just chatting and like worshiping and walking around and just kind of wandering and not on the right side of the road and just being whatever. So, but very cool to see. I think they've done a good job. I believe there's you see like all sorts of different body types here. You see children walking around too. And everybody has like kind of different clothing, so some of the children will be nicely dressed. Other times some people have like rags on, some people have cloaks and like just basically a tunic with like a rope around it. So it's a mix of all kinds. Donkey, for example, is casually walking around. So yeah, lots of animals too, sheep and goats and pigs and chickens. Now, some of you have been asking too, have you seen a chicken farm yet? I haven't. I don't know if that's a running meme in Anno, but yeah, I haven't seen the ability to like have a chicken farm or grow chickens or anything to do with chicken eggs, but that doesn't mean it's not there. I don't know. Maybe the Romans want their eggs sunny side up. I'm not sure. But anyway, overall a good experience, and yeah, the ship returned, dropped off the tin, and we all live happily ever after. So yeah, again, good times, and download the demo today. Yeah.